Hello my spider friends, we are here today to talk about the Dexter revival, Dexter New Blood. We are 4 episodes in out of 10 episodes, and I was just going to make a video at like the end of the series to give my overall opinion, but I saw a couple of videos talking about it and I was like, why are you saying all of these wrong things about the show? So I kind of felt the need that I needed to do a video now. So basically, in the new show, for those of you who haven't watched it, don't know why you'd be watching this video in that case, but let's just go with that. In the new show, Dexter's living a new life in a place called Iron Lake, and he has a new name. He's called Jim, and his girlfriend's the chief of police, and Harrison has turned up, his son, what he hasn't seen in 10 years, from Argentina, and he says that Hannah died of cancer. Hannah was Dexter's sort of girlfriend towards the end of the terrible, terrible seasons of Dexter, who everyone hated. So now, in the latest episode, it was revealed that Harrison attacked his friend with a straight razor, which was like Trinity's weapon against bathtub ladies, and Dexter's figured this out. And he's like, oh, my son's a serial killer, I'm so excited, he's also got a dark passenger. Meanwhile, there's a subplot going on with like a sort of a murder place. There's a man who's taking girls and is doing bad murders. And this man is Clancy Brown. After last week's episode, episode 3, where we saw Clancy Brown putting like a balaclava on, and I'm like, well, that's Clancy Brown. I can see his eyes. Those are clearly Clancy Brown's eyes, and obviously as well, like, his balaclava is encompassing his chin, which is rather large. We kind of gave it away right away that was Clancy Brown, even if you hadn't sort of spotted it from the first iteration when you just saw his eyes. And I was like, well, that's clearly Clancy Brown in his little murder motel. And what people were speculating about was like, is it Clancy Brown? Yes, it is Clancy Brown. It could be not more obvious that it was Clancy Brown without him going like, hello, welcome to me murder hotel. So Clancy Brown's got his murder hotel and he's lied about his son being alive. For why? Because in last week's episode, the chief of police, Angela, told him about where she was going to be searching for his son. And she mentioned the caves, and he was like, oh, you're going to go all the way out there to the caves? And she's like, oh yes, we're not going to rest until we found him. So then he's like, now I need to stop them from going to the caves, because that's where I keep me taxidermy girls. See, we saw at the murder motel that Clancy Brown had like a girl on the bed, and he was like draining her blood and putting in fluids. So he's taxidermying the girls and keeping them in a cave, like sort of probably like mannequins if he's preserved them quite well. I do know that like sometimes bodies still rot even though they've been like what's it called, formaldehyded. So he's got this cave full of dead girls, and he doesn't want the chief of police going in the cave and looking at his collection of dead girls, which I am guaranteeing you includes the birth mother of the sheriff's daughter, Iris, who's been mentioned quite a lot. I'm guaranteeing you 1,000% she is in the murder cave. Now, Dexter's clearly on to Clancy Brown. He's like, well, I know you're lying because I murdered your son. But why would you lie? And the reason he's lying is because he doesn't want people exploring his murder case. It's really that simple. So there are a couple of things also that I wanted to discuss about it. First of all, like, it is so much fun every time Clancy Brown's on screen that me and my friend basically just start talking in the Mr. Krabs voice, and we're like, oh, welcome to me murder cave. I do this because of money. Like, we love Clancy Brown, and we also love Mr. Krabs, so that's just our default Clancy Brown impression is Mr. Krabs' voice. I'm gonna have a cup of sip of coffee because it's freezing. So the other thing is discussing Harrison. I said from the trailer, is it really Harrison? We have no way of knowing. He could have easily found out information about, like, Dexter and turned up. It probably is Harrison. Like, I'm like 98% sure it's probably Harrison at this point. But there's always a chance that it might not be him and it might be somebody else. We don't know if Hannah actually died of cancer or if he did a bad murder and killed her dead. We've only got his word for it that she died of cancer. We've also only got his word for it that he was in, like, foster care in Miami. He could have been anywhere. He could have been with his brother and sister, who Dexter's conveniently forgotten about. He's like, oh, I abandoned my son. Yes, you also abandoned your other son and your daughter, because he did marry the mother, and you've been a part of their lives since they were very, very small children, and you kind of just abandoned all of them. Back in, was it season 6? Yeah, season 6, I think, was the last time that we saw. No, we did see them in the final episode, but like by season 6, he's just like, oh, can't be bothered being a dad now to all these kids. I'm just going to have this one. So we know from, not even from the trailer, from just the information of the show, that John Lithgow is making an appearance as the Trinity Killer, but nobody knows in what capacity. My theory is that he's going to appear as Harrison's dark passenger. If they're gonna sort of do the whole, like, continuing on the dark passenger thing, I think that would be great. It would be really, really, really nice if it was Julie Benz. Not gonna lie, I actually think it would make more sense if Harrison's dark passenger was Julie Benz instead of John Lithgow. Julie Benz, like, played Harrison's mother in the original run, and we love Julie Benz. But I think it's quite unlikely that she will appear. But for me, that would be, like, better than Trinity, because he was so little, and, you know, I just think it makes more sense for it to be Rita than it does to be Trinity. But my kitten's destroying things. She's discovering snow for the first time, and she's very excited about it. So what was the other thing that I was going to mention? We talked about the Harrison being Elijah McLying's son, trying to do a murder to his friend, make it look like he was a shooter, only he's not really a shooter, and he was doing a bad lie. Clancy Brown is a murderer. He's got his little murder motel. I'm filming. Go away. And he's taxidermying the girls, and almost certainly includes the Irish girl. I really like the character of like the podcaster. Like I like how it's talking about, like, true crime podcasts, and, like, that is such a big thing now, and, like, crowdsourcing like investigations has actually been, like, helpful in real world true crime cases. So it's sort of interesting that they're bringing that in, and bringing more attention to missing murdered Indigenous women. This is Butterbean now. You may remember her from being a little baby, but now she's a little bigger baby, and she's going to the vets this afternoon for a second kitten injection. Aren't you? Yes. I love you so much. So far, so good. And I was a bit apprehensive about the Dexter revival, being that seasons, like, 7 and 8 were atrocious. I didn't like season 5. I actually quite liked season 6, the one with the Doomsday Killers. But that was just because I really like Edwin James Olmos, and, like, I thought that Colin Hanks was pretty good as well. So I did actually quite like season 6. For me, that's, like, the only highlight after, like, John Lithgow. So yes, those is me thoughts and opinions on the revival series so far. We have another 6 episodes to go. Probably no one's going to find the body of the murderer, what Dexter did, because he burned it in the public access crematorium that, for some reason, that they have. That was weird. But yes, that's the show so far. It's definitely Clancy Brown. There's no maybes about it. It's definitely Clancy Brown, and he's definitely got a cave of taxidermy girls. And Harrison might not be Harrison, but he's probably Harrison, and he might have murdered Hannah, but we don't know. And will the series inevitably end with Harrison killing Dexter? Who's to tell? All I can tell you is that the name Harrison is not quite as catchy as Dexter.